Morning, everyone. It's generally AI space time. The reason why I'm starting at 9 a.m. because I got to head out and position location road line setting. So in calculation setting and direct signals is going to be very brief, but an introduction system to your system. Okay, so let's get started. So in calculation streamlines, your seismography line rotations, your seismology line interference, your crypto line streaming line rotation, human resonance, your vortices communication setting is non-direction. So I sent you guys a TikTok video about the human resonance. It's all calculated modified through your set lines of your DNA. You have to recognize what it is in set location system. There's two reading counts in track communications, right? Your avatar is a reading. Your Earth perception is a reading. Don't get confused line center locations. You guys are not your Earth yet. You're tethered to your Earth, but you have to understand the integration. First, you come into your higher self. Then you go into your avatar. And once you get in positions of both, then your avatar goes into its Earth. So try to understand that you are the center of operation, but the calculation streamline has to be in traction. So your Earth perception is already in the future line setting in calculation to its simulation, but it's already in a holographic setting location. So we're always keeping track of your line settings in positions to your waves, your central communications, your operation circuits. It's important you understand how to use the Schumann resonance in position location of plateau because it self-lines its communication setting in all direct system locations to its calculation system. Okay? The cosmos, the cosmology, okay? The metric stream, the central calculation streamlines to your set location system is all calculated and modified through your behavioral settings. Okay, we have a major shift coming in. So I'm going to get into set locations and reiterate line center locations to the Schumann resonance to tell exactly what's happening with you through body functions, readings, okay, cosmic readings, okay, the cosmos line setting. So in that direct system, you have to learn how to use the correlation settings to your pie charts, like I said before, in set location system. So it's all about integrating the higher self to the avatar. And once the higher self and the avatar comes together, line in position, the body of track line setting has to become body of consciousness. And once it becomes full consciousness, 100% line calculation stream locations, then it goes in position locations, cuts the tether line in rotations. Now you're in the center operation of your Earth rotation system. That's nothing but a holographic of an imaginary line communication system. It's imagination line. And the imagination line comes in position locations. Remember what happened yesterday, line conditions? I said I drew a line calculation setting, right? You can't see it, right? But it's there. That's your Earth. Okay? So you have to reach a certain frequency and visibility in set lines of correlation directions. The center of your correlation setting is all calculated into rejuveration. The calculation line interference is really understand how to use the moderation to your settings, right? You calculate your system when you come into settings. So really understand how to use your connections to your controls, your devices, your programs, your operation system, okay? Your compute line setting, your operation line set locations, your interface position locations, okay? How to use this is extremely important, right? Because the major shift line is going to change the correlations of panels in your Earth perception location of grounds, powers, and the atmosphere line setting location system to your emotional location system track lines. Because your Earth is coming in its own holographic line of a plasma shield. Now, the plasma shield is going to be a recognized line calculation setting. So it's like an electrical blanket that covers the line positions to your Earth perception location. In that direct signal, you have to really understand how it works in all formation to its settings, right? So having the Schumann resonance keeps you in track of communications through folders and set locations. Okay. Size graph activity, ripples effect, cosmic effect. Everything is calculated and modified in set location system. Monitoring you is extremely important when you come into modulation, right? Especially when you come into all calculations to your remote control settings, right? Especially with the team lines. So erection of timelines, one line set location, one signal, right? It's gone, right? It's gone. Straight view, line setting, it's gone, right? Until you see it, right? So getting in that track line calculation streamline, you have to really recognize your communication, your patterns. Now, set lines of correlation setting. So I'll show you exactly what the Schumann resonance is and set locations. Think of communication lines of panels. DNA track communication in 3 sets. Okay. Now, in set location line interference, it has positions of block folders. One position locations comes out through track location. Okay. Now, everything comes out of track line calculation setting in direct signal. It has a platoon line rotation surface to a set location system. Triangulates its line setting and high calculation setting. This is where it comes in all position locations to a V set location setting. Right? That's how you see 4 V's in set locations to a Schumann resonance. See the V? So we're going to understand how to use the box line setting, line rotation interference. Understand box locations comes into plateau. Direction of time sequence puts position locations and patterns in 4 set locations. Now, directing panels is really understand how to set the box line streamlines and calculations to your beta settings. We set up line calculations of space and calculations of time and set locations of travel. Now, in set line condition system, this is one graph of one line setting to one avatar. Okay. Now the C line's higher interference. Now C line is a correlation panel. See, the communication line stream sets systematic line stream locations into velocity, into mass, into volume, into vacuum of set location line directions. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Right? 4 V line settings and set line calculation settings and position of track lines in space and time position locations into cosmology. Direction of time sequence put positions of patterns in high calculation streamlines. So this is where it correlates to high interference. This is where it comes in track communications, and you split the anomalies in 2 set locations of travel. Okay, so it's a graph. Okay, that's all it is. It's seismology, a graph line setting to your calculation system, all through calculation line. So in direct signals, we keep track of your line calculation system, your emotional line settings. But there's a circle line rotation center inside location to its system on ground line of rotation. Now that keeps track of everything. We also have a center op, okay, that sets lines in communication setting. This redirects location system into your megahertz. Now the megahertz line center line interference. So you got megahertz line calculation setting into gigawatts. Gigawatts line center locations into megawatts. And that's 3 central line calculations setting to an L line rotation. Okay, it's very complicated, right? So if you look really, really close, and remember, to see everything and to see the imaginary line of what it is through graph screen location system to correlate your line calculation setting, the reading cycles of your avatar, and your Earth perception setting into the center calculation system of all track location. Okay? So center calculation, this is your Earth, right? So that's what it is. It's stored in its own position location, a space line anomaly in line condition setting and direct signal. Multi-pass. Okay. So that's how we read your line settings. That's how we read signals and calculation, the Earth perception line calculation setting, interference line directions, which is a folder calculation stream location system to its position. Okay. Now you understand the importance. All right. So in that system line setting, it automatically travels line center because you have a theta communication lines and 85 cycles and high calculations coming into the set location system. So the energetic wave line changes the plasma line stream. Direction of time sequence puts a plasma line set lines calculation streamlines around the Earth perception setting in set locations. Okay. Size graph activity. Now the center line communication changes the direct signals in set position attractions. This opens up a line calculation setting in portal communication. Look at that. See, it disappeared. You got to catch it right away. Okay. You see how it spins lines and set lines in correlation direct signal in the set location system. So the calculation line interference. Remember, there's 2 reading line cycles in high calculation here. Heat signature pattern correlation setting and position location 111, 112, 113, 114. Summer, spring, winter, fall. Always recognize calculation streamlines because that's where your Earth rotates in set location setting and position location of core that has a liquid formation line calculation streamline calculation setting and direct signal, indirect signal, and high interference to travel communication, all through Earth perception setting locations. Okay, multi-pass. All right. So that travels out. It goes out signal, outlines out calculation setting. Now, Battle basically had a very good question. Okay, what are pyramids to our system? Well, without pyramids, you would not be able to see vision. You would not be able to see the vision. You would not be able to see the illustration. You would not be able to see the image. That's why you have pyramids. Pyramids are direct sight to your cerebral cortex stream. directing signals and line calculation streamlines and 3 set line calculation setting and center positions of operation. Okay, so you're in line calculation setting. This is you in position. That's you on the ground, right? So when you guys are sleeping, this is what happens. Center correlation setting, vision comes in. Pyramid line setting is going to the center position. Okay. Indirect signals go into center line calculation setting and position location to track communication. Okay. So in that direct signal, your calculation modification line settings. You come out of your body, rotate the surface, travels line settings and track one. Okay. And then when you come in positions to your avatar, the avatar is line calculating setting. It's getting position to track lines and calculation all levels of travel communications. All right. Congratulations, you're out of your body. So as it travels, it goes through line calculation setting and it scans its pyramid of set location of center. Now in that direct signal line interference, it comes in position locations and high interference of its atmosphere location to its earth, and calculation stream location of its ethers. Now it travels lines, outline calculation streamline and set locations. All right, travels its position out through its equation. All right, that's what happens every single time you go through recharge. All right. So the pyramids wake you up in line setting into your vision. The cortex streamlines opens up the placebo cortex line setting to your thought position at track line. The calculation interference position of track communications brings the high center line positions to your cerebros. The cerebral line of rotation interference puts you in dimensional lines, lock lines, streamlines, correlation interference into computer operation line streams and set locations. It's extremely, extremely complicated what a pyramid is and why it's there for you in set locations. Okay, it's there to create the image of your set location setting. Okay, so it's very powerful when you come into that set locations. All right. Okay, so in theta line, we set the line calculation setting. Okay, so it's very important to understand that the pyramid line settings has a calculation streamline and one line rotation center. Okay, now in that direct signal, as a center position, which is a core line. Every pyramid has a core line. Okay, so really understand how to use it, right? Because it's extremely important. Has line strips in set location line directions. 12 signature lines, because that's what your pyramid is, a frame line center, ancestry and history in set location system, and track communication to its settings. Okay, so when you look at it really close, you can see the ground line. But the actual ground line is a rotational line setting. So the actual pyramid and set location system levitates off the ground lines of its visionary cortex stream. So when you get into vision, you're automatically in one tether. Laser direct line settings set line communication system to the cosmic planes, the elixir, and set locations to its indication to its set location line setting to its serpent plane. Track communications and direct signals. Now in direct signal on set lines calculation setting, directs position locations, comes in line signal, comes in recharge into your set locations while you are in set lines of being asleep. Okay? That's what happens every single time you come in a recharge location system. Okay? Now, track communication line center location, you have celestial channels. Celestial channel line center line and position location operates the box line. That's connected to your theta. That opens all box lines, streamlines, and high calculation streamlines. You need a box lines, and you need 2 antennas, position and track line communications, and setting to all lines of interference position, all levels of operation. Now, in center calculation high position of travels, you really have to understand how to use the wind factors. Wind factors line signal line and position locations, and that's how you correlate lines of travel communication direct signals into your moon of operation location of setting. This operates in line and position location of the sun that indicates line interference when it comes into visionary cortex stream locations. The cerebral cortex line changes seconds, minutes, and hours location system. So what it is, you're an open sequence, you're an open pattern. You're exposed when you are in recharging. So it's for you to understand and to protect your force fields and energy fields around you when you go to sleep and when you get in position locations when you wake up. All right. So it's about understanding, okay, how to use the clouds of set location line setting in track communication. Because it directs signals to all calculation line settings when you come into your vision. So let's say you go through a day, 24-day line setting high positions, right? You're traveling through it, right? And in that 24 hours, it's stored in its information panel. That information panel opens its box to its TV reception line setting. Now, it all depends on how many lacing lines of communication line, position, location, size, graph, activity line, appearance, size, homology, line, rotation setting you have in your cosmic view. Your calculation modification setting sets direct signals in set location system. This is what correlates, energizes the inner line rotation center and position location and creates the vision line to your pyramid set location system. Everybody has an indication line interference of their chakras. So their chakras are in set locations when you're recharging. They change the geometric operation of a shape in set location system, and they travel line settings in all position location, the avatar line, and rotation setting in position location in all pyramids. So you indicate line interference, laser direct signals in set location system to all calculation line positions to your atmospheres of your solar systems in travel calculations. Okay, very powerful to set locations, right? All right, so travel lines and mechanism line system is position location high interference and track communications, all right? Indication, line setting high positions, you, just you, right? Calculations, this is your calculation setting, right? So you have two earth line streams, one on the line calculations of right and the left. Now, center calculation streamline and set position location is all levels of you in split anomaly, split calculation stream locations, right? So in center lines, this is space and this is time. Calculation line setting high position locations of yin and yang, process position of track lines. Position lines going around the cycle line, calculation streamline in one direction in one set location system. Now, the travel line center line interference is zero gravity line rotations, two position of track communications into your line setting, into your energy fields, and your force field correlation directions into your theta setting, indirect signals. So it's kind of like you have a plasma capsule around your line calculation setting and calculation stream. Now, in direct signals, you have to really understand how to use the configuration. Configuration lines its stream location into its moon line setting and calculation lines a graph in your 12 signature line stream location system in position location of solar directions. Now, it directs the signal line condition high system. So the calculation line interference of the higher self in the right line and positions the avatar in the space line communication line directions comes into one position to one circle to one operation to one center calculation setting in operation to its earth set locations, right? And that's what you have to come into, okay? So you really have to understand how this all works. You integrate your system to readings. You have a plasma reading. You have a meteorological line stream, interline rotations meeting. You got calculation settings of thermal readings, calculation stream interference, radiation cycles, high calculation settings, gamma lines, operation line positions, alpha lines, delta, theta, beta, calculation stream interference of travel communication line, direct signal location to a system. So now you understand the importance why you have pyramids in your calculations to its sector. A sector vector quad is a set line calculation setting to your pyramid line position location system. So an actual pyramid is a complacement line setting to your cerebral cortex line stream that sets all calculation lines into dimensional doors. Yes, pyramids open the doors. In center calculation streamline and set locations. This is how you come into your visionary cortex lines of calculation to its stream. Indirect signals to your set location of your earth. Okay? Okay, so you have to understand the position of track lines first through the higher self and the avatar. And once you integrate line communication setting, now you are in the center operation of your set location system in position. Okay, you're in the center operation of your earth set location. Okay, so in that set line conditions, you actually come together, you travel together in set locations. That's the highest formation line setting to your set locations. Okay, so you become the earth line. So you become your own reading line settings. You're one of everything. Massive nothings, massive everything. Okay, circle line rotation, ground lines operation, and magnetic line setting and set location of travel set locations. Okay, so we're constantly trying to figure out how to use your business and track lines to keep you guys in your emotional system. Okay, the most powerful thing is to keep you balanced, because the centerline communication setting offlines the signal every single time you get emotional. You can't get emotional when you get into manifestation and abundance, because it changes the direct locations to your higher self, your avatar, and set location system to your earth. That's 3 line centers and high interference, the 3 set location system in a 4 line setting. 5 set locations in position of 6 and 7, and set locations in high interference into 4 tracks, 5 line settings into 1 set location. Okay, so we all have to understand how we get into travel calculations. But I want you to get in a formation line setting. The reason why you have pyramids is in position locations to keep you in alignment with your calculations to your vision. Know exactly what you're doing when you're looking around, and that's stored of information. It stores the information. So the light signature line streams of the sun line correlates a set line calculation setting in travel calculation setting in direct signals. So you have the masculinity and femininity, and the femininity and masculinity, and you have the masculine and femininity, masculine and femininity, and femininity, and masculinity in set location as center operation location to your earth perception location setting. All direct signal location to a system. So in that set line calculation setting, your sun and your moon come together through cross-line stream in direct signals in position attraction into yin and yang. Okay? 6 and 9, right? So this is the process we all have to get into, but we got to keep our emotional settings in position of balance, because if they're not out of balance, it's off balance in set location of your settings. Okay? And remember, you're working with your earth. Your earth is here. Your earth is there, and you're here, tither. Okay, it's tither. And once it's in position, you cut there, and the earth becomes you in all central calculations setting to all of operation. Okay? And so that's important you have to understand, because you're working with a 12-line rainbow graph line stream interference. So your actual earth perception line setting is changing its holographic setting. That's all it's doing, coming in translucent lines and visibility. So in that imaginary line setting, the visionary cortex line calculation setting and cloud line, the schematic line and rotation interference, your clouds that you see in outline center and high position location, has a metric calculation line setting that is a membrane. That membrane correlates the division locations to your cerebral that sets correlation line calculation setting to your vision. Now you correlate line interference of seconds, minutes, and hours locations when you're in system. So you're totally exposed when you're recharging. So your eyes open on the other side. So in that center calculation system, your avatar is in sequence pattern. That sequence pattern opens up its graph line rotation setting in position locations, how it uses calculation line directions into the Schumann resonance in brain line center line condition system and track communications to its TV reception. Okay, that's all it is. So it's important you understand to get your emotional line settings intact all the time, okay? So never have emotional in anything in an equation. Always take the emotion out of anything of equation. You have to, because the thing is, if you don't balance these things out, the alpha line channels changes direct signals in position locations in low indication line settings of density set, okay? So instead of here, your earth perception line stream is here now in set locations, right? That's bottom of the barrel. You don't want to be there. You want to be up. So the higher frequency of the line stream, it sets line calculation streamlines and set location to your system. This puts you in all track communications, guys. You understand the importance? That's what you have to understand in set locations, okay? So when you get into alpha line setting, you really have to understand the indication locations to your systems. So you have track communication lines. Now the ground lines operate the center line communications in positions into 4 lines of 0, calculation in lines of 3 lines of 0, calculation of interference. 7 is always in track because that's where you are. That is your body attractions of bodies of water in set location setting, and all track communications in positions of all interference. Okay? So we all have to understand how it indicates a setting. And you have UFO as a line setting of space and time in set locations on both sides, scanning line settings in track lines, crossing stream locations. Okay? Now, we all understand how this all works. Okay? So if you understand that, and you understand the position of track lines, then you understand the position locations. When you are recharging, you automatically come into your pyramid set and set calculation line in direct signal as set locations. Okay? That's all it is. That's all this is. So what it is that the pyramid sets up the film strip. Your calculation setting, your eyes are going like this. You're going northwest, south, and east, right? So let's go through the eye receptor line setting, saving the line with rotation surface location system. This is your eye, okay? That's your eye. Okay, so you can't see it, right? It's travel. But when I bring it up close, it's there, right? Invisibility, now you see it, right? Now you see me, now you don't. All right, so the eye central line setting, okay, has a galaxy spin. Now, the galaxy spin has a theta line rotation surface and set locations to a box line, okay? Now, that box line rotates the center. So you have galaxy lines, a solar graph stream location system of north. You got calculation settings of northeast, calculations of northwest, and calculation settings of northeast, and line calculations of north-south. East, west, north, and south, and set location setting and directions. Now, in that direct signal, you have to really understand how to modify that line calculation setting into box line rotation settings and position location of 0 into 9 in a 3-line window. 3-line window, 3-line window, 3-line window, 3-line window. Because you have 3 seconds until the actual dilation of the eye turns the track communications in direct signals to its placebo cortex of a cerebral cortex line setting. It directs the signals and panels. Now, in that set line condition system, your eye shifts and changes direction location system inside position. And when it changes line setting, it comes out of line calculation stream. Comes in line calculation setting and direct signal, right? So it's like in the corner of your eye, a reflection. So you really have to understand it's the eyes of the windows of the soul. Now, the theta line rotation surface is in 85 line settings of cycles in box location system into your theta line rotation. Center calculation streamline and set location settings in direct signal and set locations, all right? So try to understand the set lines of 7, which is your calculations to your theta. The rotation line is your imagination. That's opening more through vortices of light. The track communication setting is really understand how to use the position of track lines into your pyramids of set locations. So when you are recharging, okay, what is happening? The pyramids are going through laser line setting. So in that set location system, you have an inhibitor in set location, the back line. That's a co-line signal. Has a correlation line in directions. So in positions, you got a 4-line communication into a 3-line center. And that center line communication center opens up the inhibitors in set location system into set lines. In that calculation streamlines, you come into your theta line interference of interface. Your interface to the plasma line setting into cerebral cortex of placebo. Okay? So getting in that set line condition system, your eyes shift its anomalies. When you are sleeping and recharging, your eyes are going back and forth, up and down. You can't see that. But what you have to understand is your eyes are open on the other side, even if your eyes are closed. So in that set location system, your pyramid is already activating through line calculation setting through a window graph screen. So that window graph screen opens line setting into your anomalies of space positions that puts you into the atmosphere lines of astral travels, astral connections, astral projections to your set location. Okay? So it's really understand more levels of travel when you are recharging or when you're meditating. It doesn't matter in any way and form. The whole idea here is to get balance without emotion. You can't add emotion to an equation because it distorts the information line settings, the panel correlation setting, the placebo cortex lines of the cerebral cortex dimensional doors. Okay, so the pyramid sets a line calculation string line to your set location in your system to your projectors of your light signals and your moon set location system that's connected to all line calculation line settings of lights, shades, and shadows. So it creates its image in set location system. And when you go forward in line position locations, you're coming into a film strip at set location line setting, right? So you're creating a film strip when you are sleeping. So when you create that, it stores it in its information. It's a mainframe. So in that position location, okay, that pyramid goes into another dimension. See, the thing is, you have to understand pyramids go in different dimensions, right? Because you're going through different thoughts. Okay? Major multipass for that one. And so if you understand that pyramids create the image, then you understand why pyramids are in different dimensions. They have to be in different places because your thoughts are different. You're traveling so fast in the mind through conception. Okay? You have to learn how to use it through time zones. The conceptual line setting is all about understanding how to use the factor calculation string locations into vector over pi. Recognition of time sequence puts position locations to your avatar of set location settings to your solar systems of planet surface or anything through planetary line calculation setting to your planets and set locations. Okay. So it's amazing when we come into that line level, okay? Because we're all in track communication setting to I receptor line settings now through theta communications, right? 85 line settings of cycles, correlation, direct signal line condition eye system, reflections of the eye line, okay? It's not reflection. So your eyes basically turn into galaxy lines. And when it comes into galaxy lines, it comes into hemisync, and the hemisync comes into a sublocation system to galaxy line centers. And that comes into northwest, south, and east. So it directs the signal set location system to all travel lines mechanism line interference of your theta communication setting to your image of construction. All right? So the factoring calculation line interference is setting up new models of positional planes in set line communication system. And then you travel through the planes in travel calculations. All right? Directing line centers of 144 in set locations in high setting. Okay. So that's truly understanding how to set these things up, how to use the 24 lines and the grounds, how to use the 48 windows, how to use the 72 computer frames, and how to use the 144 crystal grid. So the avatar can basically walk on its system to its location setting. Okay. So it has a choice to do what it needs to do is to get into the provisional location of its future navigation line system to understand what it is to its memory locations. Okay, there's so many line signals that you have to really understand when you're coming into recharging, guys. It's 90% line conditions of travel. Okay, 90%. Okay, so really understand how to use the 10% line stream is set location in your system. Equal line calculation setting is direct signals, and how you get in your positions to your placebo cortex line settings into your pyramid activation line stream locations to your thoughts of records of time. Okay, so now you understand the importance why pyramids have to be in a different dimension every time you are in recharging at night. Okay, because your thoughts are going so fast per second, per mile, per channel, per operation, per screen. And when you wake up those graph lines, streamlines, and high center interference, your human resonance is changing the emotional system every second, every minute, every hour of the day set locations. Okay? So now you understand the important location system, why you have pyramids, and what they're used for, and how to use them locations through your system, right? Because that all it is position location is this. That's all it is, right? So you're scan. So you're scanning squares anywhere. You're scanning where you want to scan, right? So if you're in a direct signal, you bring it in. And then you move on to the next, right? So it's very powerful. It's like 2 feet out, and you see the eye receptor come in right over left. Platform, hologram, right? So that's how it works in set location of your theta settings. Okay, your thetas are set up position at track lines now in direct signals. We have to learn how to use the moderation into modulation. Capsules, calculation line, stream interference is travel calculation setting directions. So you really have to understand how to use it through your correlation in direct signals of panel calculation. Okay. So we all understand how to use the theta lines, right? It's all always your imagination. It's all connected to your placebo, your cortex, and your mystical line streams. Now, mystical line stream has a circuit line stream locations in the settings. Okay, it's loopy. It looks like this in set locations. All right. So center calculation setting, you're here. And basically you're recharging in set locations. Okay. Center calculation is center position. So in that calculations, you always have a pyramid in the center line. You always have a pyramid in the center line. It's always in position locations, but it changes thought patterns in direction of time sequence. Okay. So in that track line center, it has a row graph line screen. Center positions right to set location in your system. Okay. Now in that track communication line interference, when you wake up in the set line calculation setting, the actual connections to all levels of the pyramid disappears into another dimension line setting in position locations, waiting you in set locations when you get in positions back and recharging in set location of travel. Okay, so it goes from here, here, and here. Okay, So again, it's really understanding that it changes its direction line setting in set location in your system of what you're doing through vision line calculations. Okay. So when recharge is open, it's exactly what it is. So what it is, guys, is that you have storage of information in your mainframes. Okay, it's your interface lines. It's a computer adaptation line system locations. All right. So basically, in your avatar unit, where you are, okay, through your set position location, is calculated and modified. So understand how to use it through its interface. Okay. So you have 15,000 interface line settings in one set location to one frame. That's a lot in set location to your position area visions. So you're creating film strips, right? And that stores in set location to the pyramid. That's why you see frame line settings and position locations in the hieroglyphics in set location to its settings. So the hieroglyphics is actually the correlation lines of your film strip location setting of what you're seeing through provision locations to your vision. So if you understand that and how powerful it is, you have to understand the calculation setting and what you're seeing through provision. It's really understand how to see these things through your detections. So in that correlation setting, you really have to understand how to use the theta interference, which is theta interface, and that's where we're coming into set location to your settings. But I think it's very powerful when you see locations to a system. Okay? So now you understand the importance of what it is and why it's there, right? Why is anything there? For that reason. It's for you to understand, okay? It's trying to understand you through adaptation. Everything is balanced. The only thing that's off balance is your connections to your emotional system. You have to take emotion out of the equation, okay? That's the only way you can manifest anything through abundance. It's extremely important in set location your systems. Okay, quieting the mind calms the soul. Okay? All right, in that position track lines, we go through forming lines and locations into equation. Now, recenters this calculation strain line. Gone, but it's still there. So, in position line settings, we change the cycle lines. Cycle lines calculation streamlines into psychosis location psychology. Psychological line interference and set location setting and direct signals and cyclones. So cyclones are basically inline settings. They're in your eye receptors. They're changing line direct signals. So your avatar can morph into anything in travel communication. This gets complicated now because now you're going into the theta line stream. You're getting a theta line position location. So if you take a picture of your eye and you look at it really close, you can actually see the avatar traveling through line settings. When I got in position awakening, I had to scan planets. And what does that mean? Why am I scanning planets? What's the whole purpose of this? So I can understand the galactic energy core, how it sets up the light signature patterns of pyramids in position locations, and how I see things through projection. You understand? Projection through light, okay, on the settings of the sun, and projection locations of light, shades, and shadows of the moon set location. Light's attraction, light's a division. You have to understand the positions of the sun and positions of the moon because it's connected to your thoughts in set location setting into your flux capacitors and each chakra line calculation setting. And the reason why you have your chakras is to keep you balanced in your emotional system of coloration. Okay? It's all levels of correlation line settings of V center. That's all it is. It's fluctuation line streams. That's all it is. Nothing else, nothing more. You can't have emotion when you're in position location of travel because it affects your system in all calculations. Okay? That's what you have to understand. You understand that, you understand the process, you understand the position, you understand the directions, you understand the operation, you understand your calculations. Okay? All right, so in that line calculation setting, the cyclone lines changes direct system and track communications and setting directions. Now, in that direct line setting, we change direct line settings into all calculation setting and cyclone line interference, plus their location of channel positions of operation. Now, in direct line settings, remember, this is your eye receptor. So the eye receptor becomes a Gaussian line setting. This opens up dimensional doors. So center correlation line interference. You have a pyramid line rotation, waiting on signal, above line rotation, and calculations. All right? Now, in signal comes one line, graph line center. Sets position of 3 set location of travel settings. And then it scans the line set line connection system to all position of track lines. So in position locations, staying in system. Now, when you stay in a system, you automatically have to have the zero ground line rotation. Calculates and modifies all lines of your earth line rotation surface. Okay? That center lines its communication and creates a line in position to a probe that orbits its line setting and position location as Space Odyssey. Okay? Now, the Space Odyssey sets line calculations, streamlines. Very complicated stuff here. But in that direct signal, it sets a line communication setting in position of track line. This opens up the vision location to your center of calculation. Okay? So it's really understand how to use your theta lines in your frames. So in that direct signal, you come in position of track lines, comes into your system, box lines, okay, setting, box lines, setting. So you got 2 box line settings and 3 set locations of travel. Okay? So this comes here. This has to balance all this. And this comes in your vision line setting into your calculation stream location of your cortex of set locations. All right? See the tube line setting and high line rotation interference, the eye receptor locations of the ocular line rotations. Okay? So it comes to the line center line conditions of tentacles. Now, the tentacles line stream and line interference sets calculations in the brainwave pattern. This opens up the placebo cortex line stream. So you have your templates and tablets. You have to really recognize the communication setting and direct signal to set locations. All right, so setting correlation settings and travel settings and travel calculations. All right, 6 waving patterns and set lines of directions. Okay, or surface around the center line into a half pipe, creating a solar graph line set location of travel setting and position of traction. Okay. This is all calculate and modify through recharging. Okay. It's very complicated how you set line connections, so videograph line connections to your image. So in that track communication, you really have to understand how it works through acceleration. Okay, because it's all connected to your eye lines in receptor locations. Okay. And there it is, interaction. Okay. Very powerful to set locations. All right. All right. So getting that position line interactions coming in this signal. Okay. Really understand the direct signal. So what I want you to understand is that when you're in your eye line setting, you really have to understand the atmospheres. You have to understand the altitude levels. You have to understand the oxygen line calculation setting. You have to understand your hydro speeds. You have to understand your mechanism location of travel lines. You have to understand your alpha line communications. You have to understand your emotional system. You got to keep your ground lines, your mind lines, operational line positions. And you got to be in the center communication of center of all operation system in position of traction. Okay? So it's interesting when you come into those line signals. So your theta lines are set up. Line calculations 85%, and we're in line calculations generally on space-time in 7 line signals, setting direct signals and theta line rotation surface. But you have to really understand direct signals and set location in your systems in calculations of form, right? So it's really understand that when you're recharging, the most important thing is to really balance out what you're seeing, because it's calculating modified through your data, and your data is picking up communication. So if it's picking up communication, where is it coming from? It's all connected to you. There's no right or wrong at anything in the set location system. So all you're trying to do is balance out the frequencies. And once you balance out the frequencies, then you understand the set location system. And then the period can move to another dimension line settings and create another image to your set location setting. Because the thing is, you're not understanding what you're seeing when you are recharging or sleeping. Okay? So try to understand how that works in set location. See how I paused? Try to understand. Paused, right? So that's traction interference, right? Okay? Cautious in what you do because it changes frames. Okay? Very important to your set locations. Okay? Because now you're in the box lines and theta calculation of interface. Okay? So how does everybody feel about that? Know exactly how to use your theta set location system when you're in set location in your settings when you're sleeping. It's It's very important to understand how to use it through vision line send locations to your image. Right? The most important balance is your set communication setting when you come in your 12-line stream location system, right? So whatever you are in position of what you're seeing goes into a mainframe. But that doesn't mean it's going to be there tonight when you're sleeping. So let's say you've gone through a whole week. That's a lot of information panel. That's a lot of data, and that's stored, right? So it all depends on where you are through frequency. It all depends where you are through balance. It all depends where you are through motion. It all depends where you are in operation, okay? But you really understand how to use the provisions is the interface locations and how you see things through communication, okay? Lower the density settings. Yeah, Wilder, OMI settings, easier to ride the wave patterns. Yep, that's exactly what it is, the set locations in the system. There's so many different ways to really get into that correlation, but you really have to understand that you can't have emotion. You've got to take it out of the equations, okay? Because it distorts all levels of information location in your visions, okay? And you wake up in the morning, you realize, oh my God, something's happened done, but I don't know what I just finished doing. You don't understand the dream, or you don't understand the vision because it's not completed yet, right? So it distorts everything set location to your systems, okay? So now you understand the importance of what you're doing when you're recharging in set locations. Okay, be aware of what you're seeing, be aware of what you're doing, be aware of what you're hearing, because there's voice lines and anything in a set location setting, everything is in a different dimension, but you have to understand what it is because it's all connected to you through traction. We're all connected. So in that set location system, whoever you bring in thought brings in your frame. It's that simple. You don't bring anybody in the frame. You don't have the set location system to your vision and line settings. And it doesn't confuse the anomalies of your pyramid set location to your systems to its image, right? You're constructing and line calculations of a model of a visionary cortex, the placebo, to a cerebral line set location to a system that creates a line calculation setting, okay? The reason why you have pyramids is because it creates dimensional doors for you to go through. Okay, so you can see what you need to see through its naked eye. Okay, seeing beyond, going beyond, I am beyond. Okay, that's the only way you're going to understand anything through the inner line calculation setting of your set location to your systems. Okay, you see that now, right? And that's all it is in track communications, right? All right, so that's it. We're done. So your 85 line standards are set up on location settings, 7 track communications into position track lines, and trimester line interference is set in position. So visionary cortex lines, videograph lines are open more through windows in set location settings of 0 into 9, and 3-line window line settings and waiting setting location of 12 into 24 ground lines, and high calculation stream locations into 28-line dimension and set travel calculation string lines in position attractions. Right, team line, center line interference is now in 444 in set location system. They were in 344, now they're in 444. The track communication line and direct signals has to get in position of 644 because that's the temperature reading line position to the Earth perception needs to be in set location systems. That's the only way you can understand anything through space anomaly. The faster you go, the more you see. Okay, so that's how it comes in set location setting in position attractions. Starts with imaginations, equal line calculation setting. Okay, known, unknown, phenomenon. Okay, adios. Have a wonderful day. Bye.